Hey everyone, welcome back to the More Movement channel. Now we've talked about the purpose, we've talked about the My Move More plan, and now it's time to finally wrap it up and do our first exercise together. So before we do that, I want to mention some guidelines for everyone that might be watching just to promote safety as we complete these exercises. So the first one that I want to mention is to make sure that you have some sort of hydration around or near you. That way you can feel free to take a sip of water whenever you need to. I also want to remind yourself that if something doesn't feel good, to not do it. So exercise is not meant to be painful in a way that we will get injured. So we want to make sure that we're working within our limits, and no one knows that better than yourself. So if you feel any type of pain, any type of limit of range of motion, try to work within what you're comfortable with, and hopefully with the modifications that I provide, that can help you to have another option. Another thing I want to mention is to remember to breathe and also to find your own pace. So I will have a certain pace in the video, but it doesn't mean that you have to follow mine. Follow what's comfortable for you. If you need to take a 5 to 10 second break and then get back to it, that's totally fine. If you need to do maybe half of the workout, just figuring out what works for you, because like I said, this is something that is meant to fit your needs, and there are no expectations as far as what I'm expecting. I just invite you to have this exercise and to be your guide to complete it. Now, another thing I want to mention, and I'll show it here on the screen, is something called the rate of perceived exertion scale. So as you can see here, this is a scale from 1 to 10, and all this is helps us to know what intensity we are at during an activity. So 1 being very light activity to 10 being max effort activity. So what we want to be in is the range between 4 and 6, which is moderate activity. So as you can see here, what describes this is breathing heavily. You can hold a short conversation and you still somewhat feel comfortable, but know that there is a challenge. So if you look above that in 7 and 8, there's vigorous activity, and it says shorter breath, can speak a sentence, borderline uncomfortable. So the goal for this that I have for everybody is to be between that 4 to 6 range. That looks different for everybody because we are all different. Our levels of endurance or strength or range of motion are different. So this is just a good way to define what your limits are for yourself, that is independent to you. So with all those guidelines in place, we're gonna get started with our exercise. I'm gonna lead you through a warm-up, I'm gonna lead you through an exercise, and then a cool down, and then we'll take it from there. So with that being said, I'm going to lead us through a warm-up, going to lead us through an exercise, lead us through a cool down, and then we'll conclude from there, and we'll be finished with our first exercise of this channel. So now we'll begin our warm-up, and this is a good way to send a message to our body before any type of physical activity, before any type of exercise, that we are going to move. So if we've been sitting around all day, or we haven't been able to move for whatever reason, this is just a good reminder to send to our body that we are going to prepare. We're going to get our blood flowing to our muscles, to our extremities, so that we can move properly. So what I usually like to do, I like to begin with 3 deep breaths. So we'll go ahead and do that together. So I usually like to close my eyes. So we'll breathe in, bring our arms up above our head, and out. And the reason why I like to do this, I like to practice some mindfulness before. And I'm going to breathe in. I like to practice some mindfulness before we begin our exercise, and breathe out to let us know where we are, to be present, to know the sensations of our body and what we're feeling, and just be in the now. So with this last one, I want you to invite you to set any sort of intention that you might have for yourself, whether to be grateful, whether to get through this exercise, what any type of intention that you'd like to have for yourself during the next 20 minutes that you have here for yourself. Okay, so with that last one, we'll think of that intention and breathe in. And breathe out. Now from here, we're going to get into some neck rotations. We're going to go 5 times around each way. There we go, we'll switch. Now again, for the sake of time, I'm going to move a little faster. So after we finish the 5, we're going to go ahead and do some shoulder rolls. So we want to bring our shoulders forward, up towards the ears and back. We're going to do 10 each way, forward and backwards. And I really like doing these because we carry so much tension in our shoulders. By doing this, we get some of that blood in there, get some good circulation there. Once you're there, go ahead and switch. So now you're going to squeeze your shoulder blades back and bring them up and forward. So we're going to do 10, just like that. And I lost count, but I'm doing 10. And if it feels good for you, you're welcome to do more than that. Now we're going to do what I like to call corkscrew. So we're going to put our hands out to the side. Now, I'm going to look to my left, and as I do that, I'm going to turn my right arm or my right hand inside and my palm face up. Then I'm going to switch, look the other way, and turn my left palm up. We're going to do that for 10 repetitions. I got 5. I really like these because we spend so much time sitting that we don't move our shoulders around enough. And I got 10. And I also want to remind you that you can also do it at a lower height. You know, I like doing it here, but sometimes we might have some pain, so we might have to do it at a lower angle. So from there, we'll go ahead and go into some twists. We're going to do 10 all together. So I'm on 5, 8, 9, and 10. Now, what we're going to do now, I'm going to reach above my head as far as I can. I'm going to come in towards my chest, and I'm going to squeeze my elbows back. So reach above your head, come down, and squeeze back. So I'm going kind of like at an angle. I'm not going straight up. I'm doing that to engage my chest, also to engage a little bit of my shoulders. And when I'm squeezing back, I am engaging the muscles of my back. So we want to do about 10 of those. And there we go. So from here, we're going to wake up our hips a little bit. So we've started from the head all the way down to the torso. Now we're going to look into moving our hips. So I like to do this by taking a step out, bringing it back in, out, and back in. There we go. So we're going to do this 10 times. And I'm counting every time I go both ways, that counts as 1. So I have 3 there. Our hips are very important while we're walking, while we are jogging. Any type of mobility, it also helps us to have a healthy back. Believe it or not, if our hips are tight, that can pull on the muscles in our back and cause some of that lower back pain. Now, it's one of the causes. It could be a lot of different things, but that is a very common thing. So I think this is my last one. So after that, we're going to extend our legs out. We'll start on the right side and we'll bring it up. So extend it out, bring it up, do this for 5 to 10 reps. I'm going to do it for 5 for the sake of time. And there we go. So we're reaching out, we're extending our legs, contracting the muscles of our thighs, and bringing our knee up, engaging our core and our hip flexors, and kicking back out. So this mimics a little bit of what we do when we walk. Also when we're getting dressed, if we're getting dressed, we're pulling something, pulling our pants up, or even lower if I'm putting my shoes on. And we'll stop there. Last thing I like to do is to do some circles with my ankles and my wrists. So we'll go 10 each way. This is a little hard for me to coordinate myself, but I try my best, and that's all I ask of you. So we'll go 10 each way. You can also put your heels down on the floor if that helps you. Go 10 each way. 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. So now that we finished our warm-up, you should feel, your heart racing a little bit. You should feel maybe you're breaking a sweat a little bit. Now we're ready to begin our exercises. So I'll invite you to drink some water before we get started. All right, now we'll start our exercise, and I'm going to begin by inviting you to have something that you can hold, whether it's a book, pillow, any type of thing you like to use, if you'd like any type of resistance. So the first exercise I'm going to demonstrate, I'm going to use a pillow here, acting as my weight, but like I said, you can use anything around you that is some sort of weight. So the first thing we're going to do is an overhead press, and at the same time we're going to open up our hips, tap, bring them back in, and at the same time bring the pillow down or whatever you're carrying. So I'm out here, come back in, out, and in. Now, if you don't want to use something, you just do the same motion. So I'm coming here, back in, here, and back in. We're going to pair this with another exercise. So after we are done with that, I'm going to put my arms out. I'm going to reach with my right arm to, if I can, I could reach down to my toes, somewhere down my leg or even my knee, or even across, and come back up. You can reach across this way, across your hips, across your thighs, and come back. Okay, so we are going to do 10 repetitions of overhead press with stepping out with our feet, and we're going to do 20 total twists. Okay, so we did a light twisting in the warm-up. This is preparing us to reach a little deeper and engage more of our core there. So we're going to get started. We're going to do 10 repetitions, and then we're going to rest for about 10 seconds, and then we're going to get into our next exercise, which is the twisting. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started in 3, 2, and 1. So we're going to reach up, step out. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So we're going to rest for 10 seconds there. Now, if you are not comfortable combining all of that, you can do one or the other. You can break it down. You can just do the pressing, or you can just do the feet motions. You can break it down to whatever you'd like to do. So now we're going to reach across and do our twists. So we're going to reach over. 1, 2, and we're doing 20. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now if you think about these things, we need to reach down. If you ever drop anything, I'm at 10. We're reaching down to put on our shoes, reaching down to pull up our pants, we drop something in the car. A lot of these things apply. I'm at 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. So we're gonna rest for about 30 seconds in between that, and then we'll do it again one more time. So as you're doing these exercises, please remember to find that pace for yourself. So we want to move as best as we can. Now, if we feel ourselves maybe moving a little more awkwardly or more uncomfortably as we're getting more tired, you know, it's a good reminder to take a 5 to 10 second breather and get back into it. So we always want to move as best as we can. That way we are not having any injuries or any sort of difficulties. So there's about 10 more seconds, and we're going to do the same 2 exercises one more time, okay? So I'm going to grab my pillow, and we'll begin in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So I'm reaching up, tapping out, 2, 3, 4, and you might feel a slight burn in your hips, in between your thighs, maybe in your shoulders as well. 8, 9, and 10. Now we don't always put our hands above our head, you know, all the time, but it's still a good practice to reach a little bit, even if it's at an angle, maybe not straight up. Even if you're reaching more at an angle, and I'll turn to the side, that is more applicable than reaching above our head. So if you're reaching here, that's totally fine. So now we'll go into our twists. We have 20, so we'll go ahead and start. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now if you want to reach higher, 6, you can work within your limits. 8, 9, 10, 11. Now you don't want to sway too much. If I can stay as neutral as possible without leaning over too much, that helps us to our back to also engage, help us keep our posture. 17, 18, 19, 20. Now I understand that I'm trying to talk and also count at the same time, so forgive me if I do miss by 1 or 2 seconds. So we'll rest for 30 seconds there, and we'll go ahead and get started with our next pair of exercises. So this first exercise is going to be a little less intense. Hopefully the plan is to ramp up or grade each exercise to make it more difficult as we're progressing throughout each week. So this one might be a little more simpler, but it's just a good introduction of what we might do in the next sessions that we have. Now the next thing we're going to do is another pair of exercises, and this is going to be the middle of our workout, so it's gonna be a little bit more of a challenge. So we're going to do 3 sets of 5 squats. And I know I'm saying squats, but if you really think about it, it's something that we do every single day. We get up off of a chair and we stand up. So it's something that we do. And I know we're labeled as a squat, but try not to think of it as the exercise. Now, if you're not able to stand, some other things you can do, we want to still work in hopefully our whole body, because a squat is a whole body exercise. So what I like to do, if you can't stand, is to reach down as low as you can and then reach up. Okay, so I'm reaching down as far as I can and reaching up. Okay, or another option, you can extend your legs out, you can bring it in, then you can switch, extend out, bring your knee up and in. Okay, by doing this, when we're squatting, our hips and our legs do make this motion, so it's almost similar to a squat, just in a seated position. So we're going to do 3 sets of 5 sit to stands, we'll call them. So I'm going to reach up. Now, if you want to make it harder, you can reach above your head and come back down. You can also reach above your head, go on your toes, engage your calf muscles, and come back down. So it's whatever, however you like to do it. And after that, we're going to bring our hands behind our head. If you can't, even up to here is good. And we're going to bring them down to our sides behind our back or at our waist. Okay, and we're going to do 10 repetitions of that. Doing 2 is 1 repetition. So we'll go ahead and get started with our squats. You can also grab something if you'd like, if you want to reach when you're doing a squat. So we'll go ahead and start in 3, 2, and 1. So I'm going to reach up. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we'll rest for 10 seconds, and then we're going to get into our motions with our arms. Okay, so we'll start in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So I'm going to reach behind my head, bring it back in here. This is 2. So this is something that we do a lot. We call this external rotation, internal rotation. I'm on 4. If you need to do your hair in the morning, you have long hair, by doing this motion, is something that we do all the time, or even we put it on a shirt. I'm on 8, 9, and I got 1 more, and we'll rest for 30 seconds. So like I was saying, you know, that's something that we do all the time. If we're combing our hair, if we're putting our hair back, if I'm even brushing my teeth, I'm bringing my arm into this motion to brush my teeth, or if I'm getting dressed. So I want you to think about that, because that's something that you already do. And if you're having any trouble with that, you know, this will promote some of that motion to be able to do that, or to increase that range of motion or that strength that you might need. So it might not seem like exercise because I'm not using a big weight, but still doing the motion is still very beneficial to helping you have more range of motion. So now I'm going to get started with our next set of squats. So I'm going to reach up. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, we'll rest for 10 seconds and then we'll do it again. So try to slow it down a little bit while you do this next one, just to feel it a little more. So go ahead and start. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. We'll rest for about 30 seconds and we'll get into our last set of squats. So feel free at any time to pause the video if you need some extra rest. I'm trying to keep the video a little short, that way it doesn't drag on too long, but I want to invite you to take that time to rest if you need it, if the rest I'm giving you is not enough time. So we'll go ahead and start with our next set of squats. So we'll start in 3, 2, and 1. So we're going to reach up, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There we go. So go ahead and rest for about 10 seconds, and we'll get into our last external and internal rotations, and we'll start in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So turn our head, reach back. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. Something else you can do when you're reaching up, you can extend your elbows back, get a nice little stretch there. 6, 7, 8, 9, there you go, and 10. All right, so we have our second pair of exercises done. Now we'll move on to our last set of exercises for the day. So we're here at the end of our workout before our cool down. We have 2 sets of another pair of exercises. So I'm going to demonstrate what you can do for sitting position and standing position. So the first one we're going to do is going to utilize a little bit of balance. So we're going to stand in front of our chair if we need it. If not, it's still good to have some support. But I'm going to choose one leg to work with first. So I'm going to stand on my left leg first. I'm going to bring my knee up and I'm going to kick back as far as I can. So I'm going up and back. So this is something that we do while we are walking. So it's a little bit more exaggerated, but our legs do this motion, picking our knees up and kicking back to push ourselves forward. So going to do 10 on each side. Now, if you can't do that, don't feel comfortable standing or balancing on one leg, what you can do is put your arms out and extend one leg out and hold it for as long as you can, whether it's for 10 seconds, 15, however you like. You can even have your arms out here. So we're going to do, like I said, we're going to do 2 sets of that. So on the first set, do your right leg, next one, do your other leg, and we'll go from there. So in between that, we're going to march in place. So put this over here. After we're done with doing our 10, we're going to just march in place for about 20 seconds, okay? So that can be as exaggerated as you want. You can even jog in place if you'd like. You can walk around your house, your living room, wherever you are. We're just going to do that for about 20 seconds. Again, if you're not comfortable doing that, you can do it here while seated. Just picking your knees up and your arms as if you're walking, okay? So we'll go ahead and start with our leg balance and our kickbacks. So I'm going to start on my left side, my left foot down. I'm going to bring my knee up, kick back. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So now I'm going to march in place for about 20 seconds. If you want to do this seated, you totally can. We're just going to work at a little bit more of endurance. So we're decreasing the rest during this time. So we got about 10 seconds and we'll switch to our other leg. So we got 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So now I'm going to go to my right side, stand on my right leg. Okay, I'm going to pick my knee up and back. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now, we got our last 20 seconds of the day. So just go ahead and march. We got 20 seconds and we're done. We're closing it out, finishing on a high note, finishing our first exercise together. So we got about 10 more seconds. You can pick your legs up higher if you like. We got 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Whew. All right, you might feel your heart rate a little elevated. I know mine is. So we're going to now send that message to our body that we are ready to calm down, ready to relax. So I want to do that by doing a few exercises, a few stretches, so that we can send that message to our body. So the first thing I want to do, I want to reach over to the right side and do a gentle twist. We're going to hold it there and try to find your breath as we're doing that. So we're going to hold that for about 5 to 10 seconds. And then we're going to switch to the other side. There we go. Sending that message to our body to come out of that alert state. Now, going to do a neck stretch. You can grab onto the side of your chair, you can put it behind your back. But if your right arm's back, you're going to reach over with your left hand on your right side of your head, and you're gonna pull. So you're gonna pull to the left side at an angle. You don't wanna pull directly to the side, at an angle. And you'll feel a stretch in your neck. You wanna pull very lightly and hold it for about 5 to 10 seconds. And at the same time, you're bringing this shoulder down, pulling away from each other. So now go ahead and switch. Left arm back to the side, right hand pulling the head away from that left shoulder. We're holding that for about 5 to 10 seconds. There we go. Last thing I want to do, and well, before that, I want to invite you to stretch a little more. If you'd like to also drink some water, make sure you stay hydrated. And with the last thing I want to do is take 3 last breaths to close out our exercise for the day. So we'll go ahead and breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. Now with this last one, I just want to say thank you for being here. I want you also to thank yourself, show yourself some gratitude for taking this time for yourself to exercise, to think about your health, to think about yourself throughout our busy day. So with that, breathe in that last breath of gratitude all the way up above your head, and breathe out. Again, thank you so much for joining today. I hope to see you, or for you to see me, to visit me on our next workout. Please feel free to comment or leave any suggestions that you might have below in the comment section. I'll also attach my email if you have any questions, if you'd like to see any type of exercises or any type of movements or any way that I can help you. So this is my first time doing something like this, so I want to make sure that it's catered to the viewers that are watching. And I know it's a wide range of variety between seated exercises and standing, and I want to find the middle ground and also give the appropriate modifications. So again, thank you. I will see you next time. Enjoy yourselves, stay hydrated, and remember to move more.